Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello. All right. Welcome back for those of you who are rejoining us. And for those of you who are brand new, thank you. Thank you very much for coming and checking us out. We are today this is for some of you, this is going to be right up your alley. For some of you, this is not going to be right up your alley. I normally deal with some more intense cultural topics, but today I wanted to talk to you about saying goodbye. As a counselor, I have the unfortunate experience. I say unfortunate because it's definitely not one of my favorite things to encounter. I have to say goodbye to pretty much most of the people that I meet. And sometimes people will just disappear in an attempt to avoid saying goodbye. But what I want to do is give you a tip of the day. Make the goodbye matter. How do you do that? How do you make a goodbye matter? I mean, one way to make it matter is to just talk about it. I, this week, had the unfortunate experience. Look, as counselors, you're going to hear, I'm going to tell you some stuff today you're probably not going to hear from most counselors. You should hear it, but you're probably not. We are people. Whoa, shocker, right? We connect to each client uniquely. We should connect to each client uniquely. And there's really only a couple of areas that are off limits, right? We should never have a romantic relationship with a client or the family member of a client. It should never happen. Not ever. Outside of that, the different types of love, family love, probably shouldn't. I would say that might cause some challenges. Although, there are some potential exceptions. Like, let's say I worked with a client and, they ended up, dating one of my kids. Because I'm bound by confidentiality, that could be, that's probably a little closer than I'd want. I'd probably want to have a conversation with him and be like, I don't know, but it could happen. And in a situation like that, let's say something like that did occur, they could become family potentially. And that relationship could manifest into something totally different. Is that unethical or illegal? No. But I don't know that I would like that the best, but it's not unethical or illegal, especially if it was something completely beyond my control. If they were dating my kid and then wanted to see me, the answer would be no. Yeah, because that's too close. That's just too close. That being said, goodbyes, coming back to goodbyes, which is really what we're talking about. We want to have those unique relationships with clients for the client's well-being, for their own good. What that means to me as a clinician, like this week, I've got 2 tough goodbyes. 2 of them are tough. And they're connections that that were real for me. These aren't like, I don't make this crap up. Who I am as a therapist is who I am. And outside of the only areas that I'm not allowed to love a client, I do love my clients. And I'm not going to cross those other thresholds, but it's really important that you understand, if you go see a therapist, they will connect to you also. It's both parties making the connection. You make it and they make it. And the boundaries are clear. The boundaries are set. So within the expectations of those boundaries being set, you're gonna get love that's filial. There'll be playful opportunities within every clinical relationship. There will be commitment. I'm committed to every relationship that I'm in. There will be agape, the idea that I'm going to love who you were, who you are, who you want to be without judgment, because it's not my place to judge you. Right? There will be a friend aspect to every clinical relationship. There's 4 of them right there, folks. 4 of the 7. And that makes this relationship very real. And when we say goodbye, it's in hopes that maybe someday down the road, we'll encounter each other again. And yes, as a counselor, I would love to get updates from clients down the road, not to engage in therapy again, unless they were coming back to therapy, in which case, for sure, we could reconnect in that way. But if you're well, got your stuff figured out enough to where you're carrying your own torch and you're going and you're living your own life, that goodbye is both exciting and sad. It's a turning of the chapter, which is exciting and sad because that last chapter is over. That relationship that you needed when you started, you don't need anymore. You may want it, but you don't need it. And as a therapist, as a counselor, somebody who works with people, when it's not needed, it's time to go. Take all that love that as a counselor we give you and go. Something else that's interesting about the clinical goodbyes. The question always arises, so what if I go and get another therapist at some point? Here's my advice for that. Number 1, do not compare your therapist to your next therapist. Don't do it. It's a bad idea, because if you created a unique connection and relationship with your current or past therapist, it should be unique. And if you compare, then you're busy trying to recreate rather than create a new, healthy, wonderful, loving connection with a new therapist. And you should want to create a unique, wonderful relationship with your new therapist. So even if that's the case at some point, or if you're leaving because your therapist has walked you through what they can and it's time for you to go get the help in another area that they're not an expert in or whatever, go create that unique relationship. Here's another part of that equation that's important for you to know. Saying goodbye to one creates an opportunity for you to say hello to another. And that's good. That's good. That's good because you get to learn that you can have unique, healthy relationships with multiple people. It's not just the one that worked. It's now I've got 2 or 3 that worked. The more you're able to do that, whether that's a clinical relationship or a friend or a family member, or the more you're able to do that, the more you believe that you can do that. And the more you believe you can do it, honestly, the better off you are. So as you enter a goodbye, whether that's a therapist or a friend or a family member, remember, this is an important one. This is me telling you what to think. I normally tell you how to think, not what to think, but I'm telling you, this is a what to think that you probably ought to take note of. Now, again, I don't tell you what to think, but this would be my recommendation here. When you say goodbye, make sure it's a gift. It's a gift. It shouldn't be emotionless. It should be sad and exciting. There should be some reminiscing. These top 5, top 10, do you remember when we did this or talked about this or whatever? How cool was that? We did that. You and me did that together. Because ideally, if we encounter each other down the road, 5 years, 10 years, I really want you to be excited to say hello. Obviously, because of confidentiality, you get to decide that. I'm a counselor. In my relationships with friends, I don't wait. I don't wait. I'm going to approach them, be like, it has been forever. Why? Because I'm not bound by that boundary. But I can tell you, these clients that I've had over the years, almost all of them, I would welcome with open arms in an embrace of like, oh my gosh, it is so good to see you. There are some exceptions. Let's also tell this truth. Here's another truth for you along the route of the goodbyes. Yes, factually speaking, there are those goodbyes that frankly, I'm excited for them to go and not so sad. Let me tell you who those ones are. When I can't help them, I'm not sad about that. Knowing my own limitations, I already know I have limitations. There's no need to be sad, realistic at that moment. So those ones, I'm not so sad to see go because I know they're going to be able to get better help from somebody else. And the other ones that I'm not sad to see go, truth is, if they don't feel connected to me in some deep and meaningful way, I don't get sad about that. My connection to them, every once in a while, let's be real, every once in a while, as a therapist, I will have a connection with a client and they will have a connection with me. That is wonderful. It does happen. Yeah, I'd probably say if I'm working with 30 people or so, I'd say probably 10%, 2 or 3 of them at any given time are deep, meaningful, like super real, it just worked type connections. I would, from a different vantage point, I might say something like there's a spiritual connection. It's like the relationship it was supposed to happen, needed to happen. It's different. I'd say about, I don't know, 24, 25 of them are just really good, healthy relationships. And then there's usually 1 or 2 at a time. And that just, it's like, man, I'm just not feeling it. Just not feeling it for some reason. And in those, the client's perception of it is way more important. However, if I'm not feeling it for long enough, like a few weeks, a few visits, like 4 or 5 visits, did I just say, hey, look, can I help you or not? Let's take a look at this connection. What are we missing? And that's an important process for a counselor to go through. Part of the reason I'm telling you this, I'm going to be really transparent with you. Again, I know it's not like I haven't been this whole time. We go through a grief process. And I thought, you know what? I should just share my thinking of what I go through when I'm in the middle of my grief process. I told you earlier, I had 2 clients this week that I had particularly good connection with. It's like from the beginning, it just kind of worked. It's like, this connection is real. Like it's just working. It was one of those 2 or 3, that I have at any given time. And unfortunately, I lost 2 of them this week. So there is a little bit of a grief process going on. And I thought by sharing that, you would see the humanity of the therapeutic relationship, but you might also learn a little bit about the importance of saying goodbye. It's not just for you. It's also not just for me. It's for us. If our relationship is meaningful, and then a goodbye is so important. And because culturally, we suck at goodbyes. We just do. We're like, later. Or we don't say anything at all. We just growl, growl, wave, wave. But they should be so much better than that. If you tear up at a goodbye, you know what that says? It says that relationship matters. It really matters to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Today, I got a little teared up. As much as I do. I'm not much of a crier, but I got a little choked up, a little teared up. A couple days ago, similar. Folks, it's good to have relationships that matter. There is nothing wrong with those. And sometimes, unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to them. Don't be afraid of that. Embrace the sadness. Embrace the excitement of whatever's next. Enjoy the moment and say goodbye in hopes that maybe next time we see each other, we'll be excited to say hello. I hope this was helpful. I know this is very different than some of my other podcasts. I've done this kind of stuff a few times off and on, but if you liked it, hey, send me a note. Let me know if you thought this was really a waste of time. Feel free to send me a note and let me know. I do like feedback, whether it's positive, negative, or anything in between. It helps me become a better version of me, the growth part of what I ask others to do all the time in my practice. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff if you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.